Welcome, everybody, to PinstripeChronicles podcast, your best place for the most entertaining take on the Yankees. I'm Tats. I'm here with Rob, and we're seeing it more often as the Yankees got their 50th win last night, that the pitching has really been the focal point of this team's success. And we also are seeing them flirt with the no-hitter perfect game more often this year than years past. You know, that's twice from Cole that he's taken it into the eighth. Tyone took one into the eighth. Severino with the one hit in the seventh. Cortez has been, putting together some good outings where you're starting to see, like in the sixth inning, seventh inning, no hits. Does it almost feel like at some point they're actually going to break that barrier and get that no or perfect?
First of all, tell me, can you hear me? Because we had to cut. Okay, good. If I cut out, you have to give me the signal because this is take 2 of this episode, everybody.
I'll poke the ear.
Yeah. give me the third base coach. But yeah, I think that it'd be nice to get one. I just don't know if it matters if we do or not. But the fact that our pitching has been so good is pretty impressive. Cole last night, that was a start that we needed after the game that happened in Toronto. Pitching's been fantastic. So if we get one, great. If not, I'm not worried about it one bit. Just kind of enjoy what we're seeing from our starting pitching because it's been unbelievable. All 5 of these guys can throw one at any given day.
Yeah, no, it's, because it really was, Cole was just Cole. Like, this is what we've signed. He's going to have some bad starts. Every pitcher does. But if you're going to start getting more outings like this, as opposed to some of the rougher outings, then I think that we got our money's worth. So I know that, Cole gets a lot of heat because of all the controversy with everything that he went through. The bad, the sour taste from the wild card game last year. It's really, he hasn't had it the easiest. He hasn't been treated the best from all the fans. There are some that are still very skeptical about what's going to happen in the postseason, because that's what really matters when you're a Yankee fan. The regular season, all the accolades, doesn't mean anything. Like, we're not celebrating Kluber's no-hitter the way we normally would. We had a season last year with all, as bad as the defense was, we had seasons with triple plays, and it was all forgotten because there was no trophy to hoist up, no piece of metal, according to Manfred. So unless they cap off this year and they finally get to that finish line, it's really all for naught.
Oh, you want to look too far ahead, right? Because, look, it's 67 games. It's June 21st. We just got our 50th win. And we're seeing this team do things that no other Yankee team has done. From what Nestor Cortez is doing, Aaron Judge is on pace for something that hasn't been done since 1961. So, we got to enjoy this. And when we get to October, we have to worry about October. To me, it's not a question of if we'll get there, because we're going to get there. It's just a matter of when we get there, we got to make sure that we don't take our foot off the pedal, because right now they're not taking their foot off the pedal. They're not taking their proverbial foot off the throat right now, because they just continue to fight no matter what. Even yesterday, we mentioned this so many times, they don't win that game last year. Like, how many times have we said that? They had a lead. Rays came back, tied it. They probably just lay down, go down quietly in the ninth. Rays walk it off. That's what happens last year. This time around, we give up the lead. We get out of the ninth tied. 2 batters later, we have a 3-2 lead, and it's 4-2. And credit to Aaron Hicks. He hit the hell out of that ball. Probably shouldn't have thought it was a home run, but hey, he got all of it. He thought it was gone. It would have been gone at Yankee Stadium. And I do want to extend well wishes out to Manny Margot, because he took a nasty injury. Yeah, and he's going to be out for a while, they said. So hopefully we see him back as soon as he possibly can be. That sucked, because he maximum effort to make that play. Would have saved the game for the Rays, obviously. You hate to see players go down like that. So hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later, but we know it's going to be a pretty extended injury for him, which sucks. So well wishes out to him. But the team keeps fighting no matter what. Even in the loss of Toronto, they kept fighting. They were in it to the last at bat. Energy's different. It was Yankee Stadium South last night. Yep. Everybody was watching the NHL Stanley Cup Finals out there in Tampa, so the Yankee fans just took over. And Garrett Cole was phenomenal. It's just 50 wins, man. We can't worry about October right now. And no, we know what the end goal is, obviously. Now the expectations, which
is rising.
Right. We started off the season, a lot of people said the Yankees are a fourth-place team. They'll be lucky to make the wild card. And now here we are in end of June, basically, and like the Yankees better win the World Series.
Well, that's really was, you know, in the beginning of the season, we're sitting there going, just get into the wild card game, roll the dice, make the adjustments at the trade deadline that you feel you need to, you know, that you weren't able to take care of in the off season because of everything with the shutdown and, you know, and everything else. Now, I mean, that really is completely, that theory has gone right out the window. Now you better get to the World Series now. You know, and I think the Yankees are really taking pride in that pressure. You know, and that's why you're seeing a much different ball club this year. You know, like you just said, we said it in I don't know how many episodes past. This year is very different than the years past. You know, they don't win games the way that they are this year. Trevino hustling down that line to get Gleyber home from, you know, because you force them to make the play. Don't just give them the out. Force them to do something and see what happens. And we saw what happened. You know, Joy wasn't able to, you know, to scoop the ball up. So that's why you're seeing just a much better effort from this lineup. Not whether they're the power guy or the utility guy or role player, whatever he may be. Then you get Marvin Gonzalez. It's really pissing me off. You know, we haven't had much to complain about. When you have the bases loaded with one out after a walk, don't swing at the first pitch. If there's one thing in baseball that if I have one pet peeve in baseball, stop swinging at the first pitch with the bases loaded. It never goes well.
Especially after a walk, right?
Yeah.
Because we saw that happen a lot last year. Because I get the premise, right? Because if you give up a walk, you're trying so hard to throw a first pitch strike, which we've seen Gleyber do it a lot. We've seen DJ do it a lot where they're trying to attack on that first pitch. Like he's trying to throw me a fastball. He wants to get ahead in the count. He just walked the previous batter. And they swing and they roll over it and it's a double play in the inning. I hate it too. I swing at the first pitch when the bases are empty, or if there's two outs, you know, go ahead, try it. But when you have one out and you know just a fly ball gets you that extra run against a guy like McClanahan where runs come at a premium, very little runs to come by against him. So, I mean, yeah, not a good, especially when you're not really hitting the ball. I mean, he's been okay at times this year. You know, it's not like it's Aaron Judge that your confidence gonna mine one. Yeah. So yeah, I was upset about that one too.
I'm like, that's why I was screaming because I'm at work and I'm listening. I'm going, what number's on the back of your jersey? Stop swinging at the first pitch. And then his next at bat, he does the same thing. He swings at the first pitch. I'm like, did you have to go to the bathroom or something that you don't want to be at the plate? I mean, it was what's the rush? It just didn't make any sense. So, but I mean, it's all you know, all the complaining and nitpicking. It really is all for naught because they did win the game, and you know, it was on the back of phenomenal pitching and clutch late inning hits like we've been getting, and we've been saying that there's been somebody different every game that is just coming through when you're not expecting that big hit, and that was from Hicks last night in the top of the ninth. And he's been having some timely hits, especially in the last week, and he's having a very good month. So, is it justified to start backing off on the criticisms of Hicks, or is he still the the whipping boy for this team?
Well, I said it yesterday that even though he had a really, really, really bad May, he's had 2 good months around it, right? But he has still failed too many times with runners on base for us to be like, hey, we forgive you, because he's won us 3 games this month, essentially, against Minnesota. Hit the big home run to get us back in the game, him and Gallo. The game against Toronto the other day basically won it for us. And then last night gets the big hit. So it's good to see him finally coming through, that he's swinging the bat well. He's not swinging uppercut, and he's not trying to send it 5,000 feet. And he almost sent it 400 feet into right field last night. So he's just making level swings, and he's just been smarter at the plate. But he has still cost us a few games already this year. Yeah. We have, 17 losses, and you can probably say about 3 or 4 of them would have been wins if Aaron Hicks just came through with runners on base, because he's come up far too often this year with runners on in big situations and hasn't come through. So, I mean, we can back off a little bit because we are very critical of Aaron Hicks, and rightfully so. This guy is getting paid a decent amount. He's playing basically every day. And for basically an entire month, and even the end of April, he was playing lazy defense. He just wasn't doing – he was getting thrown out on the base pads, like going halfway from second to third and getting picked off. And he was just making stupid mistakes. And you're like, why is this guy still playing? But the Yankees were patient with him, kind of because they have to be. They have to play him. And now it's starting to pay off a little bit. So we can pull the reins back on the criticism a little bit. But I don't want to get my hopes up, because we know we've seen it far too many times this year where he can come up with the bases loaded and 1 out and do what Marvin Gonzalez did. So, I mean, I'm happy to see him finally coming around again. The numbers are trending up. His weighted on base average is starting to go up. The barrel percentage is going up. Everything is trending upward. So let's just hope that he becomes a more consistent hitter, because if he's batting 7th or 9th, whatever, draw a walk, hit 240 for all I care. But if he shows that ability to pull the ball the way he did yesterday and maybe go the other way a few times, or just get one down the line, do what he's been doing, that's fine for the bottom of the order. That's all we ask out of him.
Yeah.
Because we want him to be a doubles hitter, be 2018 Aaron Hicks, even though the power was there for him. But he's trying to be Aaron Judge with the way he swings the bat. He's trying to be that 50 home run. He said he wants to be 30-30. We don't need you to be 30-30, you know? So what he's doing lately is perfectly fine for the bottom of the order, especially if we get another outfielder and maybe move on from Gallo. I'm perfectly fine with Aaron Hicks batting in the bottom of the order of being a 4th outfielder. You know, that's not a bad thing to have if he's playing like this. But that May version of Aaron Hicks, everything he was doing was just, it wasn't even his game. It's like he was trying to be somebody else. Right.
You know, the one inning that really stood out yesterday was that 7th, the top of the 7th, with the slide on Thompson on the mound. Didn't it feel like there was just a lot of low pitches being called for strikes that was just frustrating the hitters? Because you almost saw actually Cole at one point. You know, I forget which inning it was ready to just lose his mind with the strike zone, and. But the top of the 7th stood out to me is going, what are they supposed to swing at? Yeah, because the balls were coming in so low. You know, they would especially low and away. Like, there's no way to, unless Aaron Hicks is up there with a golf club, they weren't gonna, nobody was gonna hit anything. You know, it wasn't even like they were hittable pitches. They weren't even clipping the zone. Maybe 1 or 2 of them were. It was just a really poor strike zone against the Yankees.
It's kind of bad on both sides too. You know, like Cole was getting some pretty generous calls. The umpiring sucks. You know,
But yesterday was kind of highlighted how bad they won.
Yeah, you have a few good ones, very few good ones, but the umpiring is just bad because. I mean, I know I said earlier, don't look forward to October. Imagine that happens in a playoff game where you're kind of seeing guys like Aaron Judge's strike zone basically going for everybody. he's still getting robbed on strike calls this year. I mean, it's annoying because you're seeing it on both sides. It's like, how are hitters supposed to, you're taking pitches away from the guys now because you feel like as a hitter, it's supposed to be 1-1 instead I'm down 0-2.
Yeah.
And even the other day, it happened with Castro because he should have been ahead in the count 0-2 and it was 2-0. And he ended up giving up the home run after that. So, I mean, umpiring, it can change an entire at bat, one missed call. And when you're seeing it multiple times in an inning, it's just, get better or just get the damn robots out because this is ridiculous.
There's different approaches when you're at bat, whether you're 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2. It really changes your approach. It changes the pitcher's approach. Just like, we always say, if somebody gets caught in the base paths and then the next guy up hits a home run. Oh, that could have been 2 runs. No, because it would have been a different pitch sequence if they had runners on. So it's hard to, to really say, with the shoulda, coulda, woulda and philosophy. But the umpiring definitely needs to be better because it was just, like I said, just that one inning just stood out. Where even at one point, Ricky Ricardo was filling in for John Sterling, and he was almost like he didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to call, broadcast the game because he's seeing with his eyes what should be a ball that's being called strikes, and sometimes vice versa. So it was just a really the umpires, they got to start doing better because, like you said, this isn't the first time that we've had to call them out for an inconsistent strike zone. If you were calling it all game long and that's going to be your zone, I'm good with that. You want to give them the low pitch, that's fine, but be consistent with it. So that's really what it is. They have to be consistent, not perfect, but at least be consistent.
We have the technology, we can see the strike zone on the screen. If you look at the game day app, they have the strike zone where the pitch landed. It's everywhere. Baseball Savant will tell you where it is. Yahoo Sports will tell you where the pitch is. I know umpires have a difficult job because you're seeing it in real time, but when you're making so many mistakes like that, it's like, when are they going to make a change and just go to the automated strike zone? But we talked about that in the offseason. That can bring up more problems because if that gets something wrong, who are you going to complain to? Because you're not going to argue with the umps like, I didn't make the call. So that's why I was kind of torn on that. But the more I see umpires make mistakes, I'm like, get the damn robots out there and let's see what they can do.
Yeah.
So it just happens far too often. I'm not even just saying this because it hurt the Yankees a few times because it's bad on both ends. Cole got some very generous strike 3 calls yesterday. And umpiring is very seesaw because one day they'll be really good and spot on. And you can see their accuracy reports on Twitter. They have that available to you now. So, and then you see Angel Hernandez, who's arguably, well, not arguably, he's the worst umpire in baseball. And he's doing it on a nightly basis. And you're just like, why does this guy still get to call balls and strikes?
You could put a blindfold on the other umpires. They could call it better than Hernandez. He's just
basically what they do.
Yeah.
Anyway, like, I think that's a strike. I don't know. But I don't know. It's annoying, but didn't cost us the game yesterday. I don't think it cost anybody the game necessarily, but it has in the past, and it's annoying that we're seeing multiple teams get screwed by just bad umpiring.
Yeah, and it's hopefully tonight that doesn't continue, and we actually get a because the Yes Network does, they've done really well with doing the umpire reports. They'll show the graphic, and it did show that he was very pitcher friendly. So that's why some of those balls down low, you're gonna get that with a pitcher friendly umpire, but not when they were that obvious that they were low. It's not like a breaking ball where you could just say, maybe the way it broke over the plate. Not that anybody really throws a true 12-6 anymore. It's not that type of movement. So, it is what it is. Like we said, Yankees won. They got to their 50th win. We got Cortez on the mound tonight. And hopefully there'll be more heroics from somebody else. Maybe Marvin Gonzalez has the big hit to redeem himself from yesterday. You never know. And that's the fun part of the season is, there's every day there's a different hero. Maybe Aaron Judge gets the home run. He's been in a little bit of a home run slump. Yeah, but it is what it is. That's just, who cares how many home runs he hits? Just win the games. He's still going to get his contract, whether he doesn't hit another one this year or he gets into the the 50s. But that's for another day.
Well, if he doesn't hit anymore, then he ain't gonna get that much more money. But yeah,
But
then
you
we
know
have
what I mean.
problems. Yeah, I know what you mean. He's. I don't think he'll get 60. It'd be great if he did, but if he finishes with like 45, are we gonna be like, man, that's a bad year? Like, come on. Even if he does have a normal second half of the season, because what he's doing this first half isn't normal. He's on pace to do something only a very few guys have done. So if he finishes with like 50, maybe 50, maybe what he did in his rookie
If he could match his rookie
52.
year, I think he's fine.
Yeah, that was an MVP year anyway. So
Yep.
that'll mean he got his second. And there you go. You're going to get your money. So if he hits 60, great. If he breaks Maris's record, great. If not, no big deal because he's still an amazing baseball player. He's a top 3 guy in the league, and we want to keep him for as long as possible. So he's in a little bit of a slump, yet he's still doing things to control the game. They're not pitching to him in some circumstances. What game was it the other night? Was it against Toronto where they intentionally walked him like 3 times? He kept coming.
It was in the Toronto series.
Or it might have been the first Tampa series when I think Trevino walked it off because it was in extras and they kept walking Judge and they wouldn't give him a chance.
I thought it was the first Toronto game. It could have been Tampa.
I think it was the game Trevino walked off against Tampa, if I'm not mistaken, because that one went to like, what, 12, 13 innings?
That was, you know what? It was the extra inning game.
Even he's still kind of slumping during that point. He had the home run in that series against McClanahan, but he's still kind of slumping, yet you don't want to pitch to him because one mistake, it's getting out of that disgusting dome, which I cannot wait for the series to be over because I hate
that place. It's like one of my favorite moments listening to baseball was last year or the year before when there was a high pop-up that just kind of got lost in the rafters and all that. And you hear John Sterling on the radio going, "What a stupid place." And that was his whole commentary for the play. What a stupid, stupid place. And I laugh every time. So every time I hear Tampa, that's the first thing that comes to my head was John Sterling. And what a stupid place. And it really is. They got to tear that thing down.
Yeah, because no one wants to go there. The Rays are a good team. They haven't been playing great this year. They dealt with a ton of injuries, but the last few years they've been probably the best team in the division. And you still don't get people selling out that place.
No.
They don't even want to go there. Give them a nice big outdoor stadium. You want to put a retractable roof like the Marlins have, go ahead and do it, but give them an actual ballpark because this tin can that you're playing in is atrocious. I feel bad for the Rays and for the fans that want to actually go to the game. They close off the entire upper deck and claim they have a sellout. Like, no, you don't. Just tear that damn thing down and give your team an actual stadium or move them to somewhere that will build them an actual stadium.
Yeah, what they do, they covered up like, what was it, 15,000 seats?
Yeah.
So I think the max capacity is like 25,000 now, and they can barely sell that out. And it's like, you're not fooling anybody. Nobody goes to your stadium. It sucks.
It's a bad place to play. It's a bad place to watch a game too. And it's got AC. I'd rather be sitting outside because it just affects – we shouldn't have to be having rules for a stadium. Like, oh, did it hit the rafters? Well, I guess it's an out. That's so bad for it. We have to – how long was it that when Clint Frazier had it happen to him a few years ago? It's like, how long do you have to take to make up a rule for a stadium? Just tear it down and build them a new one.
Yeah, it's not like I forget what stadium it is that they have like the fence and then there's another fence where they have like flower pots. I think it's Chicago. I think it was the White Sox stadium. And if it hits the flower pot, it's like, come on, what are we doing here? But that's stadiums. Just every stadium is different, but Tampa's just sucks. That's the bottom line.
It's not even a stadium. Who knows about
No, it's like you said, it's just a tin can. That's gonna wrap things up for us today. Just remember, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Check out our social media in the description below. Check us out on sportname.com/player and Northeast Streaming Sports on Roku. Wear your pinstripes with pride and play hard.